77%. That is the number of users who download an application, open it exactly once, and never return. 3 out of 4 people. Gone forever. Millions of dollars in marketing budget completely incinerated in a matter of seconds. You have absolutely done this yourself. You tap download. You wait. You open the brand new application. And within exactly 71 seconds, you aggressively delete it from your phone. Why? You didn't even try the core features. You didn't give the product a fair chance. You simply assumed the app was just badly designed. You are entirely wrong. Your brain was mathematically overloaded. There is a hidden, highly researched psychological threshold, a highly specific cognitive breaking point that elite software developers meticulously map. They know exactly how to bypass your natural human skepticism. We are going to reveal the hidden psychological architecture of the perfect first 5 minutes and how it completely overrides your free will a little later in this breakdown. Welcome to the invisible, billion-dollar war for your initial attention. In the global tech industry, this battlefield is simply known as user onboarding. It is the absolute most critical phase of any digital product lifecycle. If a massive company fails this highly specific phase, absolutely nothing else matters. The brilliant back-end coding does not matter. The beautiful visual interface does not matter. The massive venture capital funding is completely, undeniably worthless. So how do trillion-dollar software companies systematically manipulate your brain chemistry in the first 300 seconds to guarantee you absolutely never leave? That is the exact question we are answering today. To deeply understand this invisible framework, we have to aggressively examine the absolute bloodbath of the early mobile app store. The early 2000s were a wild digital gold rush, but they hid a terrifying, highly destructive economic reality. Companies were spending massive, unprecedented fortunes simply to acquire new users. Customer acquisition costs were skyrocketing globally, but retention was catastrophically low. The J-curve of user retention was plunging straight into the ground. This was known universally as the blank slate crisis. Imagine walking into a massive, highly complex commercial aircraft cockpit with absolutely zero flight training. That is exactly what opening a completely new software product feels like to the human brain. It triggers an immediate, aggressive spike in cortisol. It causes intense, suffocating cognitive load. The new user is instantly overwhelmed by empty dashboards, confusing icons, and a total lack of structural context. The human brain's natural, evolutionary response to this intense confusion is highly predictable. Flight. The user aggressively closes the app. Silicon Valley completely panicked. They desperately tried to fix the massive corporate bleeding. They introduced the absolute worst design trend in modern software history: the tutorial carousel. You intimately remember these. You open a brand new app and you are immediately trapped. You are violently forced to swipe through 7 highly static screens explaining every single button. Click here to add a friend, swipe left to safely delete. It was agonizing. It was completely, mathematically ineffective. Humans absolutely do not learn by reading long, boring manuals before trying a new tool. Humans exclusively learn by touching. They learn by actively doing. The forced tutorial actually increased the intense cognitive friction. It heavily delayed the value. It made the user even more angry. The entire industry was completely stuck. They were bleeding billions of dollars daily. They deeply needed a massive psychological paradigm shift. They needed to completely, ruthlessly eliminate the digital friction. Enter the revolutionary concept of gradual engagement. Let us look aggressively at one of the most wildly successful onboarding sequences in the entire history of mobile software. Duolingo. The massive global language learning empire completely rewrote the underlying rules of digital psychology. If you heavily download a traditional software product, what is the absolute first thing they strictly demand? Your email address, your secure password, your physical location. They aggressively demand a massive personal investment from you before they provide a single, solitary ounce of value. Duolingo does the exact, violent opposite. When you open the app for the very first time, there is absolutely no sign-up screen. There is no password request. You are immediately, seamlessly dropped into a highly engaging, incredibly simple translation game. Translate the word apple into Spanish. You confidently tap the screen. You win. Digital confetti aggressively explodes. A cheerful green owl wildly congratulates you. Your brain instantly receives a massive, highly targeted spike of pure dopamine. You actively play for 5 straight minutes. You effortlessly complete an entire language lesson. Only then, after you have already deeply experienced the absolute joy of the product, does the app politely ask you to save your hard-earned progress by finally creating an account. This brings us to the ultimate, highly guarded psychological revelation. The massive aha moment of elite user onboarding. It relies entirely on a proven behavioral concept known fundamentally as the goal gradient effect. In the 1930s, renowned behavioral psychologist Clark Hull discovered a highly profound truth. He mathematically proved that rats run significantly faster in a maze as they get physically closer to a food reward. Human beings act exactly the same way. If you give a customer a local coffee loyalty card with 10 blank slots, they will buy coffee very slowly. But if you give them a card with exactly 12 slots and explicitly pre-stamp the first 2 slots for free, they will buy coffee exponentially faster. Even though the remaining distance is mathematically exactly the same, the artificial feeling of prior progress chemically compels them to furiously finish the entire task. Duolingo heavily and flawlessly weaponized this exact psychological phenomenon. By seamlessly letting you play the highly engaging game before signing up, they artificially advanced you rapidly toward the goal. You are already deeply invested. You have already won. Surrendering your private email address is absolutely no longer a painful corporate chore. It is the highly logical, strictly necessary step to fiercely protect the valuable progress you just successfully earned. And that is the profound secret. Brilliant digital onboarding is absolutely not about explicitly teaching the user how the user interface meticulously works. It is a highly engineered, mathematical sequence designed to deliver the emotional payoff of the product as violently and as quickly as humanly possible. It is strictly about manufacturing an immediate, undeniable, quick win. You absolutely do not teach them the software. You seamlessly let them feel the success. But this incredibly powerful psychological framework is absolutely not limited to silly mobile games or superficial consumer apps. The terrifying, highly destructive reality is that this exact same blank slate crisis is actively destroying massive, legacy corporations from the inside out. Look directly at how highly ambitious modern businesses handle their own human capital. Think about the traditional, deeply flawed employee onboarding experience. A highly talented, highly expensive new hire arrives confidently on their very first day. They are instantly overwhelmed. They are aggressively bombarded with 50 pages of dense compliance PDFs. They are violently forced to navigate 6 different, highly confusing legacy software portals just to successfully set up their basic payroll. The cognitive load is absolutely suffocating. The friction is completely unbearable. This is exactly why a massive, terrifying percentage of elite top-tier talent silently quits within the first 90 days of employment. The traditional corporate onboarding process completely failed to deliver a quick win. It entirely failed to provide the psychological aha moment. This is exactly why ambitious, highly successful modern global organizations absolutely require a specialized, deeply intuitive digital infrastructure strictly for their human capital. You urgently need a system that actively applies the exact, proven psychology of frictionless engagement directly to your highly valuable new employees. That is exactly where Pulse-Mina HCM completely changes the massive corporate paradigm. Pulse-Mina HCM is absolutely not just another highly rigid, intensely boring human resources database. It is aggressively and beautifully designed, using the exact core principles of gradual engagement and absolute cognitive ease. It seamlessly removes the painful digital friction from highly complex internal corporate workflows. From the absolute very first minute a new hire logs in, Pulse-Mina HCM confidently guides them effortlessly through the onboarding process, aggressively providing instant clarity and immediate psychological safety. It actively replaces the terrifying corporate blank slate with a highly structured, fiercely engaging employee experience. It is the highly guarded, elite operational secret weapon for modern companies that desperately want to aggressively retain their top talent and completely eliminate the massive financial hemorrhage of early employee turnover. Ultimately, the deep psychology of onboarding definitively proves a highly fundamental, completely inescapable law of human behavior. Human attention is absolutely not given. Human attention is meticulously, mathematically earned. Whether you are building a highly superficial consumer app or actively scaling a massive global corporate workforce, the first 5 minutes aggressively dictate the rest of the entire relationship. The ultimate winner in the global economy is always the organization that ruthlessly removes the friction, entirely delays the aggressive demand for user investment, and aggressively delivers the absolute joy of success before the user even realizes they are actively learning. If you learned something incredibly new today, hit the like button and immediately subscribe for more elite strategy breakdowns. And let us precisely know in the comments below what massive company's hidden strategy should we completely unlock next.